Okay, here I am on the Storybird website. I have my profile. I'm all logged in and signed up. If I were to have any classrooms, I have classes here, other, artworks that I was following, other pieces of writing. But then here I have my stuff. Okay, so the lesson plan that I came up with for, the use of this tool, Storybird, is to create a parody of a complex text and use that to inform your students on what you need to talk about with that text. So I came up with this idea because in the field, I recently have discovered that a bunch of my freshmen could not for the life of them understand the language of Edgar Allan Poe. We were reading The Cask of Amontillado, and they had some severe problems just understanding what was being said in the text. So that made it very difficult for them to analyze it and, you know, figure out the literary devices that were happening and, the themes. It made it very complicated for them to do that. So I decided for my lesson plan to create an abridged version of The Cask of Amontillado. Now, it's a very, very creepy story, so I have this skull here. And I have not published the story yet, so I still have all of, these options for artwork. I have the characters that I used right here and right here. Those are my characters. But I'm just going to take you through this story and show you kind of how this will help the students by me presenting this story to them. All right, so here we have the introduction. Hello, my name is Montresor. I have severe anger issues. Poe does not really give you an introduction of his characters. He makes you imply it all. And if you can't understand the language, that's very complicated for students to do. So I kind of give them an introduction to Montresor, the narrator, and that he's kind of an angry guy. He, clearly there's something not right with him, so this might get dark. This is the other character, Fortunato. I also kind of paraphrased the introduction of Fortunato. He wronged me like 1,000 times while we were friends, so I decided to really get him back. A lot of my students didn't understand that, Poe was, or Montresor was, being kind of sarcastic, that he was exaggerating. They actually thought that he had wronged him 1,000 times and created 1,000 injuries. So with this, you can kind of show the tone of that, where it's not really serious, and they can kind of see that through this tool. One day, Fortunato was partying it up in town at this giant festival. Again, this is kind of more conversational language so that they understand what's happening. Our students have no knowledge of, the French festivals back in the day. They have no knowledge of, the vaults of the catacombs of France. So it's important to, create something like this so they know kind of what's going on and they can visualize what's happening. I showed up and told him to come taste this Amontillado. I had to make sure it was real. One of the things that I found is that a lot of my students thought Amontillado was a character. They had no idea that it was, a sherry, a liquor. So in order to, help them out with that, I had them tasting the Amontillado and also they didn't realize it was a trap. So I had to, sort of use the quotation marks to show that, again, Poe is not being 100% serious with this. It's very ironic. Fortunato agreed since he still thought we were tight, and off we went into the dark vaults underneath the city. Little did he know he would not return. So again, while Poe does this great job of implying this setup, the students, since they can't understand what he's saying, they don't know what's going on. So in order to help them out with the Storybird, I kind of said, little did he know he would not return, to let them know what's going on in the story. So then we get into the dialogue. Again, another thing that students didn't understand was they didn't understand that Montresor was using reverse psychology on Fortunato. So here I clearly state, we can turn around if you want, I replied, knowing that my doubts in him would only make him want to continue. That sort of emphasizes the reverse psychology, and it helps students understand what's going on and why Fortunato agrees to keep going. Then it kind of gets dark and scary in the vaults, and Poe has this horrific explanation of it that students didn't seem to, they glaze over it because there's a lot of big words they don't understand. So in order to kind of set the scene, I give like a nice short concise description of what's going on with a picture of a skull and show them it's dark and creepy in these vaults. There's something that's going to make you sick. Like, you this is not a safe place. So then the actual crime takes place, and again, students have difficult time comprehending what's going on because they can't understand the language. So here I, kind of break it down for them. Surprise, surprise, something bad's gonna happen. Uh, they also didn't understand why Fortunato seemed to not be, afraid of this happening. They were like, why is he not like, screaming? Because he thinks that he's going to prank him. So, and that's not the language used in Poe. So I break it down and use language that students are more able to understand. So, again, I break it down as to what the actual plot is happening. Montressor, wait, help! Fortunato screamed as I put the last rock into place and began to walk away. That bird who wronged me was dead. Mission accomplished. So again, this kind of wraps up the story as to what is happening. So, and there's way more to this story than just these aspects, but using this in class and kind of reading this story out loud and then having the students turn back and go to the text to try to find these literary devices like hyperbole and foreshadowing and irony, that's going to help them do that because they understand what's happening. They can point out events instead of saying this is just a bunch of words I don't understand. So I found that Storybird was very helpful in that sense. The only thing that I did not necessarily find helpful was it was very, very difficult to actually, find an artwork that was useful for me. So I was able to find characters and, you know, scenes and stuff, but a lot of the artworks are not necessarily that helpful. So, like, this was an artwork. It was like just this picture of this dragon, this boat thing, and if I were to, try to create the story, so like it's the teacher's job to create the story, so it might be a little bit difficult, if you want characters talking to each other, because this is kind of all you get, and you're not allowed to make your own art. You're not allowed to, drop in pictures that you create. It has to be like this artwork. So that was the only really limitation that I saw, but I think that it could actually be very helpful in the classroom. If you're a teacher and you want to make an abridged story, it is going to take a lot of time, but I think your students are really going to benefit from that.